So today on the touchdown with Aaron Masemola, we are talking to one of the most legendary rugby players when it comes to wearing that famous orange jersey for the Toyota Cheetahs, of course, and that is most certainly Tian Meyer. Tian, how are you doing today?
How's it, Aaron? All good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Good, good. Now, for a man like you, a man who's always busy and a man who's always traveling the world playing some rugby, of course, how are you doing during this lockdown period, most importantly? And what are you doing at the moment? I'm sure that you have woken up nice and early, have fed the children, and everything is sorted.
Yeah, I think waking up early and trying to stick to as much of a routine as possible.
Yeah,
The kids wake us up very early, so that hasn't been a problem. Yeah, try and get routine. It's difficult. You go through phases. The first week was not, I wouldn't say excitement, but you buy into all your little ideas and things of how you're going to cope. And after a few days, it's just the monotony of doing the same thing and all that kind of gets to you at times. So luckily I've got a positive wife as well. And, my kids always bring smiles to my faces. So that helps to, change the mood. And, you can't get to depra if I can use that word. Yeah, try and just focus on the positive things.
yeah. No, that's very true. I think for a man like yourself, many of us know you from playing rugby. Many of us have also seen you on a rugby screen. We've seen you at the Toyota Stadium executing and also lifting trophies. But I would love to hear from you. Where did it all start off? I mean, some would even call rugby your first love, and I'm not sure how your wife feels about that. But rugby is something that is special to you, and I would love to know how you fell in love with rugby.
Yeah, look, rugby is a big part of my life. I grew up watching my dad play a bit of club rugby at the
Yeah,
time in Natal, and we come from a sporting family. I was involved in all sorts of sport codes, and I think the friendships I had, all my friends were all playing sport, and we were a very competitive group of mates, and ended up we played rugby, and rugby just it's a different type of sport. The fact that you get to just tackle each other, and there's that, like,
the
in the
physical nature,
backyard,
eh?
that physical nature, and you're wrestling, and I'm the youngest of three boys in the
Yeah.
house. I mean, we would be wrestling indoors, outdoors. I've had many tears, and my brothers and them just say, listen, suck it up, or don't play with us. So
Very true.
it just that competitive nature with my family and with the friends, and you start enjoying it more and more, and I think, yeah, the love just grows.
Yeah, man, that's absolutely beautiful. And I think looking at the way that you've played throughout your career, I think those physical moments in the backyard there with your older brothers have really helped you throughout your career. I mean, I've seen a few pictures of you where your teammates have actually like almost kicked you in the face and you've got some bleeding as well. So I think those sets behind the scenes as well prepared you quite well. But looking at your career quite broadly, you're also one of those rugby players in South Africa that's quite well traveled. I mean, you've played for the Lions, you've played for the Sharks, you've played for the Griquas, and you've also now donned that famous orange jersey for the Toyota Cheetahs. And I think the most important thing when it comes to being a rugby player that's so well traveled is how do you manage that and also moving from one place to another? And of course, you have a partner, your wife. I mean, how easy is it to say to her that, listen, we are actually moving to a completely different location?
It's not easy at all. Like anything with many careers, especially now in this modern time, is
Yeah.
you got to find that balance.
Mm,
What's best for your career and what's best for your family. You don't always want to move around. I mean, I played in Natal until I was 21, and then that next year I had to make a call. Do I go
yeah.
to seniors and try and bide my time there, or do I try and play Curry Cup or play the highest level that I
Mm,
can when I was younger? And the opportunity arose to go play at the Pumas, and I was there for 3 years. While I was there, got the opportunity with John Mitchell at the Lions to play a bit of Super Rugby, so I had a bit of a duel. So within the
Nice.
traveling, I traveled some more, great opportunities. And yeah, I think I was young and I was still studying as well. My wife was at home. We were just dating at the time. We met a year before I left
Yeah.
to go to the Pumas, and it was long distance, so that's challenging in
Yeah.
itself. But luckily, I have a lovely wife. She's a lovely person, and we fought through all the challenges that we had there. Moved to Joburg, up and down. End of 2012, I got married. I actually stopped playing rugby. I had a
Oh,
bad shoulder
wow.
injury and contract-wise, and I was a bit of a bad place and moving around all the time. I want to be a settled man
Yeah.
now. I'm getting married and all these things.
Yeah.
But quickly, you miss the game. You can't move back. You can't look back 5 years down the line and say, shit, I miss rugby and now I need to get back
Yeah.
into it. And so my wife also said to me, listen, give it another go. We can always start working again and start building a career.
Oh, wow. That's
And
absolutely fantastic.
I mean, yeah, I got the opportunity at the Griquas with Coach Harvey's, who's
Mm.
coaching me now as well,
Yeah.
and the Cheetahs. So from 2014, and luckily, since we were married, I've been settled in the same place except for that first 2 years in Griquas, but it was between Bloem and Kimberley, and
Yeah.
now we're settled in the Free State. We're loving it here. Awesome place to bring up a family, and we're just great friends, and the community is really friendly and welcoming. So I mean, we've really enjoyed it, and we can see our future here.
That's absolutely beautiful. I would love to touch on your wife because you're such a great family man and you've never shone away from that. We see it on your social media profiles. We've always seen you displaying beautiful pictures with yourself and your wife. How important is she in terms of decision making, specifically when it has come to your decision making in the past, having to move and so on? And I mean, in terms of the normal things in life, how important is she in terms of telling you as Tian, listen, go pack the garage, or listen, Tian, wash the dishes? Like how important is that dynamic, and how can she almost force you a little bit into a corner? Because looking at you as a rugby man, you're a big, strong man, but sometimes it takes the soft heart of a woman to just soften you a little bit sometimes.
Oh, exactly that. I've got a very soft spoken and very soft wife, Samantha, and she's really a happy person, and she never shies away of doing anything herself. I mean, she
Yeah.
never actually ever tells me to do something. Almost I want to do it because she'll try something even if she's struggling, and
Oh, wow.
she's really a strong, powerful woman in a way where she would lead by example. She does it in her work environment. She does it at home. She never really asks for any help or anything. And yeah, she's the cornerstone. And I mean, I'm really a family man, so I always
Yeah.
involve my family. I'll involve her family, which is my family now as well. And I'll always ask them for advice. I won't just make a decision and tell her we're doing something or we're moving. We'll always discuss it, and most of the time she'll want what's best for me. And yeah, I always want to make sure that I don't disregard her feelings. I think that's the most challenging part. She's really supportive. My family and her family is really supportive, and I'm lucky in that sense that they'll back me and support me in any decision I make. I've also learned you can never look back.
Yeah.
If you make a
Very
decision,
true.
go forward. You got to back it, make the best of that situation. You never know if you're going to harp on the what ifs, and
Yeah.
it might kill you or not. So yeah, the support from her side. I mean, that really, I think a lot of the rugby players, you see it a lot more here in Bloemfontein. In the Free State, you're a lot more involved in each other's lives, or there's more time, to really get to
Yeah.
know the people. And you really find out that the wives and the girlfriends and the family really play a big role in people's lives. And, they've got a support base. They support each other here at the Cheetahs as well. They've got groups and chats, and they get together, especially with the rugby changing. We're playing in the Pro 14 now, so
Yeah.
we're away for 2-3 weeks, 4 times, 5 times a season. Then they've got to handle the kids. They've got to handle being by themselves.
Yeah.
If there's a leaky pipe or something, they've got to deal with that.
Yeah.
We try and support as much as possible, but there's really a lovely support base at the Free State. And we just also lucky with our family as well. They're far away. They're in Durban. But I mean, luckily with technology, we have FaceTime and
Yes.
and all these video chats and Skype and like the Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
So you get to share moments with the grandchildren, with the grandparents, and I see the cousins, and you try and involve the family as much as possible. And I mean, they get you through the tougher times.
Very true. And I think you elaborated so beautifully on you being such a strong family man. And I know that you've got two absolutely beautiful children as well, a son and a daughter. How important is that? Because I know that for a lot of young men, and especially as you grow older, you now start to think of the big question of legacy. What am I leaving behind? And children and what you as a father give to your children is incredibly important. How have they almost impacted your life, or almost changed your perspective? Because now your first love, yes, was rugby, but now you've got these absolutely beautiful children that you now become a father, and that now becomes your new center.
Oh, it's amazing having children and being able to share these things with our family. I've had great role models in my parents and my in-laws, and you realize that your priorities are somewhere else. Not that I'm going to shy away from priorities in rugby or my career or anything else, but they do come first. And the way I can serve them and the way I can take care of them and provide for them is rugby. So I'll always give my best to rugby as well, which is awesome because I love playing rugby.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate in that I can do what I love and still provide for my family. It's really a fortunate position to be in. But in the same sense, I don't want to be identified as just a rugby player or a sportsman. It's such a short period in your life as well. I want to be known as a great father, a great friend, husband. Son to my parents. End of the day, those are things that last, and those are the things that are legacies. And which is awesome here at the Cheetahs, because we're all about family and we're all about taking care of each other and caring for the community as well. By doing what you love and by showcasing our talents, we give glory to God and
Amen.
And to everybody else. And luckily, like I said, we're fortunate to be able to do what we love, and in the same sense serving others and our families.
Very true. That is absolutely beautifully said. I love the fact that you mentioned the glory to God, and I think that's something that you've never shied away from. It's something that you've always carried with pride, and you've always displayed and spoken about the fact that you're a God-fearing man. How important is your center, your belief system for you as you find your strength in Christ?
Oh, that's the foundation of everything. I mean, that's I found that I go to God and our beliefs in our marriage, our relationship, family lives, in my sporting career. You go all those biblical principles, and at the end of the day, if you stick to that, you will be successful. And also in the same sense, that's how I measure my success as well. It's not always monetary or whichever way, but you can look at it through different means, and whatever you find your measure of successes. Fundamentally, it just helps you through tougher times. It keeps when you do have victories in your life, that it's not you. With using the Curry Cup in the Free State, you think it's just the players. It's not just the 23 on the field. It's the coaching staff of 15, 20 people, plus all the admin staff and the clerks and everybody involved running the stadium. It's our families, and
Yeah.
and we try to involve everything, and lifting the cup with the supporters. Without the supporters, we won't be here. And you can really feel it in the with the Curry Cup in the Free State. It means so much to this
Yes.
community.
Very true.
It's just awesome. Your perspective is different when you know that you're not the only one, and that's awesome for good times and bad times. With the situation we're in now, we're all going through the struggle together. But if you try and do it by yourself, you isolate yourself, you get very negative, and that makes the challenges a lot tougher. Yeah.
Very true. I think we'll just shift the narrative a little bit here with regards to speaking about some of the things that you absolutely love. I know that you love fishing. I've also seen you take part in a few cycling races as well, and also you've got an interesting love for beef, and you love your beef patty, and that's of course Sparta beef. That's something that I've seen you speak quite fondly about. So it seems that you're also quite the foodie as well.
Oh, I love a few things. The food is awesome. I love cooking, and there's just something about food and sharing a meal with people, and sharing a meal with your family. It just brings you together. I wouldn't say specifically that I only like one thing, but beef it does taste good. I think with the connection with Sparta and the Cheetahs, I got to build a relationship with them, and really also lovely people, very similar values throughout. And we had a great experience with Sparta. When it comes to sport and the outdoors, I love being outside. I don't cycle as much or competitively. I did a few races with a friend that wanted to do it, and nice. I love being outdoors and love being active. Fishing's awesome. I don't get to do it as much. it takes a bit of time, and trying to explain that to Sam as well. Standing next to the water, there's been times where I try and catch and you don't catch a thing, but I've been away for an hour and a half, and how's that fun? It starts raining and I'm still out there, and she's like, what are you doing? How can that be fun? But you find little hobbies, and like anything, you enjoy it. And I love being outdoors, and luckily it seems that my kids love the outdoors as well. So as they get older, I'm sure we'll enjoy more time outside.
Very true. And hopefully you can convince your wife to also join you. It seems that she doesn't necessarily enjoy the outdoors that much.
Yeah, she loves being outside, but
just not fishing, I suppose.
She doesn't see the point in fishing. She'll enjoy maybe sitting on a camp chair or lying outside, sunbathing, tanning and doing those type of things, eating fruit outside. She's also active, but she doesn't want to get too hectically involved in the things that I do. I enjoy the canoeing, but she's up for anything. She'll do it with me, I'm sure. But
Nice, that's good to hear. And I think we've asked a few fans to also get in touch with you and to ask you one or two questions. And one of the big questions, and it appeared quite a few times, and that's of course, what is that moment that really stands out for you in your career? Because you've achieved so much throughout your career, and I'm sure there's one special memory that sits quite fondly in the corner of your heart.
Yeah, there's so many little things throughout. You set all these little goals. You have your plans for the future, and you have your little goals and seasons and stuff. So each season always has its moments, but I must say, lifting, maybe because it's also so vivid in my memory at the moment, and it happened so recently, but it was also a big moment for me. And lifting the Curry Cup as a captain of the Cheetahs, knowing the struggles that we've gone through as a team since 2016, when we lifted the Curry Cup that time as well, and being we were out the Super Rugby, and then we got the new opportunity to play in the Pro 14, and I mean, we've had a new coach for the last every season almost for the last 4 years. You know, that the struggles the team goes through, the fact that we change personnel, friendships change, you know, or you don't lose friends, but the people you work with every day, those relationships change because now every season you've changed 16, 17 out of the squad. You know, that's almost half of the players.
Yeah.
In the same sense, it's awesome because you're meeting new people and you have new relationships and new views on life and things like that. So luckily we're not in it by ourselves, and we fight through these challenges, and the supporters have been patient most of the time. You know, obviously there's some critics out there, but you know, if it wasn't for that, if everybody saw the rugby the same way, it wouldn't be as fun. You know, it's always different. Our supporters, our sponsors, sticking with us. You know, we've been really lucky that the sponsors have been loyal to us and supporting us throughout, and you know, it's helped us. And now Coach Harbies has taken over. It's also been a tough task for him.
Yeah, very true.
Starting 3 weeks into the season, on a tour away from home, you know, and now our season has been pretty much it's done for the season.
Yeah.
So you know, it has its challenges, but luckily we go through it together. You know, we have a big group of players, big group of staff at the Cheetahs. We have our supporters, we have our family close by. You know.
That's absolutely amazing. And I think I love what you mentioned there with regards to that awesome victory last season in that final at the Toyota Stadium, of course, taking that one away from the Lions, 31-28, which was quite a nail-biter, one has to admit. But the one thing that I found quite interesting, and especially after the game took place in that press conference interview, is I felt to a large extent that you and your previous coach, Franco Smith, had such a good relationship. How important in terms of the learning process, in terms of you being a captain and him being the head coach, did that relationship play in terms of the team being so successful?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people don't understand necessarily that relationship between player and coach and all the players. You know, I mean, as just a player, I can focus just on my own things and what I need to do, and then I have to look in a team setup what's best for the team. You know, and to a large extent, that's your worries, and then outside of rugby, your family. You know, and then it becomes bigger. And as a captain, I mean, he gives you that role, and it was an honor, and enjoyed that. But then you start, you know, your responsibilities become the other players as well, and becoming that link between the player and the coach. You know, there's really so many different relationships, different dynamics involved. I mean, the coaching staff, there's different areas in the game, you know, so you really just you walk a journey with the players and with the coaches and the struggles that everybody faces, you know, and behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't see that. And I think as a coach as well, you look at a lot of, I mean, you've got to look at 50 odd people that you got to worry about, or more, with the staff, you know, and you got to answer to the questions of sponsors and supporters, why aren't you winning, and things. And you know, and being a leader in the team, and I wasn't by myself, we have a leadership group, so it's not just me. You get to find out a bit more of the challenges that the coaches go through and the company goes through, and you know, you start picking up on things, and it's a bit deeper level, so you just appreciate it a bit more, I think. With Coach Franco leaving after the Currie Cup, you know, it meant a lot to him as well, and the sacrifices he made and things, and the players, you know. So it's just more than winning the Currie Cup. It's really achieving things and overcoming difficulties in those times.
Very true. I love the fact that you mentioned overcoming difficulties, because I think sometimes when we win the big trophies, we almost forget that we also went through a rough patch. And it's also important for the team dynamic, for the coaches, the support staff, to carry you through the rough patches to get you to the victories as well. I would love to now talk a little bit about the locker room and some of the gentlemen that you spend so much of your time with. I mean, you're traveling the world with them, and also you're in the locker room with them. And firstly, I would like to ask you, you're a back. So there's always been this conversation in rugby with regards to, some of the backs can always consider some of the forwards, and you can almost get to a point where you can say, no, you know what, I can actually play as a forward. So I would love to hear from you. If you could play one position in the forward pack, what would you play? And then also in modern rugby, we're also now seeing that the props are usually the big oaks, but now you get the mobile props as well. They can run quite fast, and you're actually sometimes quite shocked that a heavy oak like this can actually move that quickly. Who, in terms of the front pack, would you say can actually play in the backpack and actually play as a fullback or a wing maybe?
Oh, there's so many characters to talk about. I must say, a forward is just a different breed.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough in the front there.
Mm,
I think all forwards think they can be backs, and
yeah.
all backs, they just happy they're not in the forward pack, because to be able to stick your head in a scrum like that and be able to bear the pressures that you're under, it's a different level, and it doesn't just happen overnight, and it's really a skill set. I think if I had to be a forward, I'd rather be at the back of the scrum, so I'd rather be a loose forward,
Loose forward, eh?
and they have a bit more freedom, I guess, and they
Yeah.
always, you always think the flankers always think they centers or
Yeah.
or flowers, and usually your locks, especially your 5 locks, the line up
Yeah.
them is, they always are skillful oaks, and they feel like they could be fly off, and they trying their torpedo kicks,
Yeah.
kicking for poles, and they, and when they're a bit of downtime there in the training session, you got to
Yeah.
pull them away from those things,
Mm.
I must say the props in our team, barring Luan's a bit more fashionable, but I think
Yeah.
that's come more from his wife,
Oh wow.
being she's in the grooming, men's grooming, they
Oh.
bad barbers, so
Oh wow.
she's really hit a little bit of fashionista out of him. But
Nice.
mostly the forwards, they kind of stick to themselves. They don't want to be anybody else. They're happy with themselves. The props, hookers are always fasty, so I think the forwards always think they just want to have ball in hand,
Yeah.
I think as a back, you're happy to be a back. Let them do the grunt, and then hopefully we can score the tries and get the glory.
Very true. Very, very true. And then, of course, you mentioned the sponsors earlier. And I think that's always an important part of the conversation because in order for you to be an athlete and to do what you do, the sponsorship is quite important as well. How important are the sponsors to the Toyota Cheetahs as a franchise, but also just to make sure that you as a player are taken care of?
Well, exactly that. So just to keep the industry running and
Yeah.
going through difficult times. I mean, we see how important they are now, and
Mm,
standing by us and trying to work with us with different avenues of exposure and things like that. Stability with sponsorships. We've been lucky with a lot of the sponsorships sticking with us throughout the years.
yeah.
That with other things not being as stable, maybe with coaching and things like that, they really understood and really walk the journey with us. So
Mm,
it's really important, and I don't want to single out one sponsor because all the sponsors really play a massive role, and it doesn't matter how much financial benefit you get from them. They all add in a certain way. I don't want to mention one and
yeah,
then
no, you don't have
I get in
to.
trouble for mentioning out all the
Don't
others, but
stress, don't stress.
um, I mean, our supporters and things will know who the guys are that really stick with us
Yeah.
throughout the tough times as well, and it gives us a bit of hope through this
Mm,
time. It's been difficult, and a lot of the players, all the industries are struggling at the moment, and
yeah.
to get through this, and knowing that most of the sponsors will stick with us and support us, and we know we'll get through this.
Yeah.
And then we can get going and playing great rugby again.
Definitely. I love what you mentioned there about getting through tough times. So, as you know, being a captain, like leadership is not just necessarily on the field, it's also off the field. It's also having those important conversations, whether that be on the team bus, whether that be in the locker room, or a simple WhatsApp conversation. And as many of us have come to realize with this COVID-19 pandemic that has hit the world quite hard, is that sometimes you need a sense of motivation. So I'd like to hear from you as a captain. Is there anything specific that you're doing just to motivate the lads? We all know that there are nice memes that are floating around so that the lads can have a good laugh every now and then. Is there anything that you are doing specifically just to keep the spirits up in the team, even though you might be currently at home?
Yeah, look, at the moment, I'm not trying to speak to each individual or something like that. You try and get the feel of if there are people that aren't feeling great at the time, you want to touch base and motivate in that sense. In the broad spectrum, we just try and, with the management staff and our conditioning coach working hard on trying to get trainings, exercises, and trying to stay fit and really trying to accommodate each player in what he's got available to him. It is difficult. We've got smaller groups. In the beginning, we were posting on a big group, and each week we've been splitting up into smaller groups. The management team, the different coaches, all getting involved, and just almost having a sense of accountability and posting exercise stats and things like that, or funny videos of how it works out. And, we have little challenges within the groups, and you don't want to focus too much and make it too much of a work. But at the end of the day, we need to stay fit, and it is our career. And when we come back, we want to be on par as early as possible.
Very true. That is very true. And of course, with the season that has basically been scrapped, I mean, we can almost call it that. But South African Rugby Union, SARU, is bringing in a new domestic competition that could actually be quite exciting as well. How are you feeling about this new competition that has been proposed? I mean, you have the opportunity now to play some of the Super Rugby teams and maybe show them a thing or two and show them that you're not as bad as we sometimes don't even give you credit for, because now I'm sure you guys can actually fight with the big boys.
Well, exactly. That try and break that perspective,
Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, we just want to be on the field. You can see the guys are hungry to play. That first little break away from everything. I mean, rugby has consumed us for the last 2-3 years and really taken over. And now you get that break away from everything. But hopefully after this, I know there will be so much more of a hunger to get out on that park and play and perform. I think everybody can't wait to play. Doesn't matter what matches at the moment. But I think a domestic league with the Super Rugby and the Pro 14 would be awesome in any case. So if we can get that going, it would be awesome. As much rugby as possible, as soon as possible, is always awesome.
Definitely. I think for us as rugby fans, we're just waiting to see you guys back on the park, because it's been a little bit way too long. And then, of course, just to wrap up the interview, as you know, rugby is an incredibly physical game, and I mean, you've had your own battle scars that you've experienced throughout the years as well. In terms of rugby being such a physical game, especially because of the tackling. Tackling is a big thing. Have you ever been tackled in a specific way where you felt that, oh man, that was a big hit? Or on the contrary, have you given a big tackle where you even almost gave yourself a pat on the back and you said, yeah, solid tackle, Tian?
Yeah, I think throughout the career, there's always moments, and I said it's quite interesting. You think you've done something amazing in your head sometimes, or you really smashed someone and really put in a big hit, or it felt like that for you, and then analyzing the game afterwards, you see it and you're like, luckily we get all the banter done on the bus trips or after the game. You get to chat about it, and then in your head it's this excitement, and you never want to lose that. I mean, we still after the game chat about moments in the game, etc., etc., and then you think, it's wow. and then you watch it on the playback and you're like, oh, okay, well, it wasn't as big as I thought, you know.
Yeah.
So there's always those moments. Oh, I've been smoked many times, you know, really been hit hard.
I can imagine.
A lot of the times it's after I've passed the ball, you know, all the
Yeah.
forwards always want to get the scrum off, and
Yeah, that's true.
most of the time it's after I've passed, you know,
Yeah.
and just being winded completely, and you know, also being the smaller guy that I just want to target you and stuff. But it's awesome. I welcome it. It's great. But yeah, I can't single out one moment. There's been many.
There's many.
We have really been hit hard, but yeah, always standing up from them, and that's what it's about.
Definitely.
So yeah, no, rugby's awesome. You miss that contact, you miss that physicality. Even the training sessions, we train quite, like you get quite physical at training as well. So
yeah,
we always joke about a Monday, Tuesday game, and then the big games on Saturday, you know.
Yeah, and I think those sessions in the backyard as you were growing up with your with your two older brothers, pardon me, really helped in terms of getting you ready for that physical nature and also those big hard hits. But to talk about the fans now, I think one of the most iconic group of fans in South Africa is definitely the Cheetahs fans. I mean, when you look at that 2016 Currie Cup finals versus the Blue Bulls at the Toyota Stadium, it was absolutely packed. I mean, that stadium was filled to capacity, literally, with 46,000 fans. And at this point in time, there's so many fans that would love to hear from you. And I know that you're a man that loves to give back to the community as well. What special message do you have for the fans out there that are sometimes during this tough time feeling a little bit discouraged and just are looking for a sense of hope? You know, somebody like you, somebody that is a national hero, some might say, could possibly put a smile on their face.
Yeah, I think just to we appreciate the fans so much, and we appreciate our family, and we see the community as our family as well. And you know, it's just we need to stay strong in this time. We need to focus on the positive. Obviously, things we can't control out of our hands, and you know, there's really people under pressure, and I understand that. And it's really difficult, but I think we must know that we're never alone in this situation.
Yeah.
Don't isolate yourself. That's where the devil attacks. You know, when that's when he gets you negative thoughts and isolates you. So speak to someone. Really reach out. There's a lot of people that have a lot of love to share in this time, especially in Bloemfontein. We're blessed to have a great community, a loving community that really cares for everybody. So yeah, I just think stay positive and you know, share love as much as possible, because it will come back to you and that will get you through. Remember the positive times, remember all the good things as well, you know, and know that it will be like that again or even better, you know. So stay positive, stay safe, look after each other, care for one another, and show some kindness, and we'll get through this together.
Definitely. Tian Meyer, I just want to thank you so much for your time. A great family man and a man who's truly displayed not just greatness on the rugby field, but also been a great role model to so many young rugby players in the country. I just want to thank you for your time, and most certainly thank you so much for the service that you've given, not just to South Africa in terms of sports, but just being a great individual and a great gentleman as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Aaron. Keep well.
Thank you. Awesome.
Cheers, man.
Ciao.